Step up on us, step up on us. Diamond, 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 diamond. Diamond, 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 diamonds on my wrist. When I step up on us, step up on us.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back. The Freight Coach Morning Show coming to you live from Phoenix, Arizona, every single weekday at 10:30 a.m. Central Time, 8:30 Pacific, to break down 3 industry articles. A lot of doom and gloom out there right now. I took an Epsom bath this morning from all the blood that was in there. And I'm just out here to continue to bring a different perspective out here in the market, you guys. Before we jump in, you guys know who my special guest is, Adam Wingfield. He's the man, the myth, and a straight up legend in the trucking industry that's out there bringing that value. Before we jump in with everything today, Adam, I got to give a shout out to my friends over at VHub. You guys, asset reutilization is the wave of the future for freight and brokers alike. You guys, creating a drop trailer pool for your customers is essential to be able to make it in this market, and hell, in any market, in my opinion. Right now, in particular, you guys, and you'll see it kind of coming across the ticker on the bottom there. There are round trip opportunities for you guys right now to utilize, going from York, Pennsylvania, up to Coteau du Lac, which is just outside of Montreal, and then you can get reloaded in Coteau du Lac to head down to, you guys, there's going to Shippensburg, PA, and there's also one going over to the Edwardsville, Illinois area as well. So there's one-way moves. So to position this with your customers, sell that capacity, utilize that, run power only up there into Canada and power only back down. Okay, this is another phenomenal way for us to get out there and provide value to our customers. Furthermore, you guys, there is a bunch of dry vans out and available in Glade Spring, Virginia right now. So the way that it's positioned is they have some trailers going that need to go up into Canada, Edmonton, Alberta, just outside of Winnipeg, Manitoba, and just outside of Vancouver, BC as well. You get paid to reposition the trailer, but you also can make money on the load that you load out the trailer with. All right. So for example, they pay $18.50 on it. If you get a load for $5K going up into there, that's $68.50 you can make on the shipment. Look into this, you guys. There's tons of opportunity for you guys to make money on this stuff. And frankly, at the end of the day, that's what we need as a broker, right? We need access to trailers. And then also they have a bunch of long-term rentals available up there in Toronto. So bring up a drop trailer capacity pool. And heck, if you guys want, drop it in the comments. Would you guys like to know how to sell drop trailer capacity? I've had to do that in my career. I would love to teach you guys out there as well. And I know my friends over at VHub would be more than happy to come together and educate you guys on how we can properly leverage a drop trailer pool as a broker. Again, reach out to my man, Xavier Campos at VHub. He's my point of contact over there. He'll let you guys know everything. Just do me a favor and let them know that the Freight Coach sent you. Got a ton of people in the comments already. Samantha Bass, good morning. Joshua Breeze, good morning. Mike Still, good morning. Stephen Peterson, good morning. Renee Johnson, good morning. Hell, you guys are showing all the love today. And that's probably because Adam's here. Like, let's call it what it is. Adam, what's going on, man? How are you?
What's up, my guy? How you doing, man? Glad we got this time zone thing figured out, man. I was ready to go about an hour ago, man. I was so stoked.
I'm always ready to go. Dude, that's the thing. Josh Breeze, he's out here in Phoenix with me, man. Like, we don't deal with daylight savings time. So it's like my calendar literally never changes. And I always go back and forth on this stuff. I just got to set my time zone to Central Time, man, and just operate off of that and just call it what it is.
There it is.
I don't know if you saw this, Adam. Diesel's on the rise again. It's up to $5.16 a gallon national average right now. Up 6 cents in a week. And dude, it's up $2.03 year over year. I get this information from EIA, Edward Isaac Apple, EIA.gov. That's where this is coming from. It's like, again, these rising costs are out there all the time. You can't blame Ukraine and Russia's conflict because this shit's been rising for a very long time. That's just the headline that's out there. Then people are going to sprinkle that into their articles as well. But this has been happening for the last 12 months. This isn't just for the last 2 months.
Yeah, diesel fuel obviously is always on futures, and that stuff's usually purchased out, some time in advance. And it's almost funny you say that because in one of the articles that we're talking about, they kind of blame the situation over in Ukraine for, the rise in diesel fuel prices, which, obviously that's not necessarily true, but, we're here to talk about that stuff. But most importantly, let's figure out what we need to do to help folks to get above that.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. And then before we do that, you guys, we're at day 12 on my Freight Coach Morning Show tally of there being a truck parking issue, as well as facilities that do not allow drivers to use the restroom at. So again, if we want change in this industry, be the change we're looking for. This is a collaborative effort. We got to work through this. I'm not letting this shit die out. I will literally bring this up every single day until there is actual change in the industry, because somebody's got to step up and say something, and I'm going to be the motherfucker to do it every single day. So first article we're going to talk about today is from Reuters. And the title of it is U.S. Trucking Downturn Foreshadows Possible Economic Gloom. Ooh, the sky is falling. In this, it says there has been an unexpectedly sharp downturn in demand to truck everything from food to furniture since the beginning of March, and rates in the overheated segment that deals in on-demand trucking jobs known as the spot market are skidding. I will insert here the spot market accounts for 20% of the industry. Just throwing that out there right now. It basically has just dropped off a cliff, said Craig Fuller, who is concerned that the United States is at the start of a trucking recession that could decimate truckers' ability to dictate prices and push some small trucking firms into bankruptcy. History has proven trucking to be a possible indicator for the U.S. economy. That is because when people buy less, companies ship less, and business activity slows. Economics recessions followed 6 of the 12 trucking recessions since 1972, according to an analysis by trucking data company Convoy, aka a freight broker. Yeah, Adam, I want you to say what you're thinking.
So there's a couple of things that when I look at the facts that's in that particular article, they said that, we're destined for disaster right now, right? But then they go back into the article and say that, 6 out of 12 recessions since 1972 had economic recessions that kind of like trigger behind it. The thing about it is though, when you think about it, it just doesn't make complete sense to me, right? Because, I understand that we had the retail inventory supply that we had to rebuild and things like that taking place. But are we telling people that people are stop eating, people are stop buying stuff, people are starting to bunker down and not spend money again? I just find that hard to believe, especially when you look at, the COVID restrictions are being released everywhere. You're seeing people going out in droves and doing things like they haven't done before in the last 2 years. I just don't see a really, really sharp demand decrease in overall consumer expenditures. Maybe we weren't sitting at home and doing the same things we were, bored, looking at paint on the wall and saying, hey, you know what, I'm just going to repaint my whole house again and driving that up. But I don't see it necessarily the word drop off a cliff. Drop off a cliff when I look at that from a trucking industry, I look at when we go really hunker all the way down, like in 2020, 2019.
Yep.
And people just said, you know what, hold up, we're not going to do anything anymore. I just don't find I find it's putting a lot of jargon out in terms of, hey, look back at 1972. Look, see, it's bad. It's not, go all the way back to 1972. Also, that was way before deregulation and things like that took place too, that really had an impact on rates and things as well. So I just, I didn't really appreciate that part. And then when they said that, hey, you know what, then they did not foresee Russia's invasion of Ukraine, which sent fuel prices to a record high. So that wasn't the thing that sent fuel prices to a record high. If you look at the overall transactional trends for the longest time, we've been talking about fuel costs on the rise. We haven't seen fuel prices that in this type of rise since 2018, in 2008. So 2 times in my career in trucking, it's actually happened. But there's a little bit of just, hey, we're just going to throw the facts out to you in this article. But there's a lot to be desired in terms of interpretation.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. And then another piece in that article, it talks about a driver out in California who a few years ago, California-based driver spent 25 to 30 cents per mile to run his truck. Again, a few years ago is a very subjective talking point, because was that 2 years ago? Is that 5 years ago? And it said that, so I spent 25 to 30 cents per mile to run his truck. So out of every $1 of pay, he was pocketing 70 cents. And now it costs $1 a mile, he says. Again, the state of California's national average for fuel is $1.10 more a gallon than the rest of the country. So again, subjectively breaking down this article, they pulled a driver out of one state that is $1.10 a mile higher. Okay. So again, it's like, boom, fear in that. That's not the national. Again, fuel is fucking outrageous right now. Okay. And I'm not saying that, but again, they talked to a driver with the highest fuel price in the nation that's out there. And, and again, it's a lot of spot market. But then at the bottom of the article, it talks about how all the big trucking companies are out there. We're making all this money. We're making money. We're shifting to contract because that's where all the money is right now. And that's true because here's how the RFP process works in a lot of situations out there for brokers and carriers alike. You guys, we're bidding on freight based off of last year's data. So if you pull last year's data, the spot market was significantly higher than contracted pricing. Therefore, you are going to bid your RFP based off of that rate to lock that rate in long term. Hence why everybody has shifted to contracted pricing, because of course you're going to lock in higher rates this year because we had no idea. No matter what it is, it's an educated guess on how the freight market will roll out. You would rather be safe than sorry. But here's what's going to happen when the RFP closes out, because a lot of companies are finishing up their RFP bids and everything, and those awards are finalized. The spot market being what it is right now, here's what's probably going to happen. Again, I don't have a magic wand, but what's probably going to happen is around July, you're going to see a lot of rebids because spot market rates are significantly lower than contract. So there's a balancing act. Again, the ebbs and the flows of this is right now, yes, the spot market, it is what it is, but it is such a small subsector of the industry.
One of the things too that I want to say about the article is the inaccuracies of the information that was provided, right? Mm-hmm. So I don't know the guy from California or whoever they were interviewing. There's no carrier in this world that's operating that truck for 25 to 30 cents a mile.
Yeah, especially over the last 3 years.
Period. I mean, just period. So let me just give you a quick breakdown. So typically within a long haul carrier, any type of carrier, you're going to have about 22 line items that are part of the business structure every time that mile is turned. So every time that wheel turns around, every mile that it goes, it is paying for every single expense of that truck, right? Mm-hmm. So it doesn't pick and choose which miles is going to pay for certain expenses. So when you think about that, just a truck payment alone is about 17 cents a mile. Insurance is anywhere between 22 to 28 cents a mile. And then you look at diesel fuel at 60 cents a mile. So in the article, he's basically saying, hey, you know what? Last year, I was profiting 70% of my line haul, right? Because he was saying, hey, it only took me 30 cents per mile to run it. I get $1 a mile. I'm profiting 70%. That is extremely inflated. And that, to me, that really goes into the far spectrum of that. And then also it just tells me this poor guy doesn't know his numbers. Because at the end of the day, to run a truck right now, last year, right, when you write it in a heart of pandemic, the cost per mile was about $1.65. Across the board. For an owner operator, a small fleet owner, it was $1.65. Right now, it's elevated to about $2.20 to $2.25 because a lot of that's driven by the truck payment that these dealerships. I really would love to get on the phone with a dealership, but the way these dealerships are raising their prices, and then of course, absolutely, tractor fuel is definitely cost things. We were looking at tractor fuel at about $40,000 range. Now you're spending about $61,000, $62,000, $63,000 a year in tractor fuel. But that 25 cents or that 30 cents that he's using as an example, that is so inaccurate. And I even had a comment on one of FreightWaves articles where they put in their comments on LinkedIn where Craig Fuller was putting, and he was citing similar numbers in terms of that, which is really accurate. So, if we're gonna preach the doom and gloom, and if we really want to go out there and play numbers games, let's be truthful and let's be honest. You're not going to run a truck for 30 cents a mile. You're not going to run a truck even close to that anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. And, and to kind of finish out this first article here, it was, this is what it says at the end, that meanwhile, some shippers are asking for shorter trucking contracts. Hint, hint, everything that I just said. These contracts that are being awarded right now are not going to be adhered to for the entirety of this year. Think back 2018, you guys, there was a massive market shift during that time. I had every RFP customer I had rebid, not once, not twice, but 3 mini bids that year. 3. All right. So again, how we navigate through this is key because the world's not, the sky's not fucking falling. The world's not crumbling no matter what is out there because we still have to move freight. All right. Freight still needs to move. And again, we need to take this information to put and keep people on the road. We got to keep them on the road. So again, you will find that on, Reuters. Title of that article is U.S. Trucking Downturn Foreshadows Possible Economic Gloom. I got my umbrella out for that. Again, and let me be very, very abundantly clear. I am not saying that there are some very real things that could happen to people there are some very real things, but like at the end of the day, you guys, we can't just raise a red flag and then fucking keep it there. We got to walk through what people can do to navigate through these market shifts. At the end, like that's what we need to focus in on. We need this collaborative effort as a whole. And I will say this every single day. I'm not here to shit on anybody at all. I'm literally here to provide a different perspective to keep people in business and not just sound the fire alarm, but not hand you guys a fucking fire blanket to run out the building with.
You know, the thing is, Chris, too, if you think about it, man, it's no different. People fail in business every single year. It's no different. It's you know, there's an 80% failure rate in the trucking industry. A lot of those failures come from a compliance perspective, and some of it does come from financial. But when we look at some of the financials and the profitabilities, even with the small carriers right now, it's really not that different. You know, it's not that different. We're still seeing rates in the right markets. If you're running very, very strategically, if you're very, very smart about how you operate, if you create good relationships, we're still seeing rates that can sustain and carry you through. Yeah, it's just like with anything else. You know, you're going to have thunderstorms, and at the end of the day, every thunderstorm eventually runs out of rain. Just pull out, you know.
Dude, that sounds like a country song right there. I think Gary Allen, who sings "Every Storm Has Its." But you're right, though, dude. You're right, man.
It happens. This happens all the time.
Dude, it's just, I mean, again, it's about how we make it through these things. And that's what's most important. That's like what I mean by this collaborative effort right now is how do we keep people in business? How do we keep trucks running? How do we help people through this? You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, that's what we need to focus in on because this industry isn't going anywhere. And if it does go somewhere, we're all fucked. We have a lot bigger problems if trucks stop moving. I'm going to be honest with you. All right. So this next article is directly from FreightWaves. It is from Bank of America sounding the alarm on the collapsing freight demand. And my friend Jason Miller, who I love, that guy is phenomenal. He is extremely intelligent. He put some information out there yesterday. And this is where when I found this article, and it's kind of tied to the last one, but at the end of the day, we got to keep talking about this stuff because, again, there are some very key points in there. And you know, I'll just demand for truckers is at a 22-month low. All right. That's the sub headline in there. It's at near freight recession levels, according to Bank of America. The shippers' outlook on capacity and inventory levels are matching the attitude not seen since May and June of 2020. I thought in an article I read the other day that inventory was at an all-time high. But again, I digress. It is now saying that in a Friday's note to investors, Ken Hockster, the managing director of Bank of America Trucking Research, wrote, shippers' review of demand is down 23% year over year. The proprietary truckload demand indicator hit 58, the lowest since June of 2020. Just to throw this little caveat in there, they talked to 44 shippers, 44 shippers who said all that.
And you know, the funny thing is that when I looked at this post and then I go back to Ken Huckster's post that he put out a couple of months ago, saying that Bank of America, well, not Bank of America, but he was specifically talking about, BOA upgraded C.H. Robinson Worldwide. You know, we all know C.H. Robinson Worldwide, 3PL, one of the largest 3PL in the world when it comes to it. But in that article, he talked about what of a positive outlook from a long-term perspective on that marketplace in the contract market. So here's what I have an issue with. We're telling people there's not enough freight. With freight demand, you don't need trucks. The need for trucks are at a 22-month low. But on the same token, we're telling people, oh, by the way, spot market freight is declining, but contract market freight is at an all-time high. So I thought we didn't need trucks. Mm-hmm. Do we need trucks? We just want to push them over to the contract side and we just don't want to tell the small guy how to do it, or we just don't need trucks at all. I'm confused. Do we not need trucks or do we need trucks?
Yeah, we need trucks. And I'm right there with you where I think it's the not pushing it to the small guy on how to do it, you know, like at the end of the day, that's, you know, because it's like, dude, here's another thing too, is it's like, and this was in, I don't know what article I saw this in, but I did recently see, and hell, it might even be in this one just further down, that last year, shippers were pushing out partial loads as full truckloads, which then classified it as a spot market shipment. And now, due to rising diesel prices, they're not doing that. They're waiting to turn that into a partial shipment because fuel, for the most part, with a lot of these large enterprise shippers, which again, I don't know this for a fact. My assumption is a lot of this data comes from large enterprise shippers where fuel surcharge is a pass-through expense onto them. Therefore, they are not going to send out 3 partials on three dedicated trucks anymore. They're going to wait and put it on one and make it into a 1 pick 3 drop load to lower their fuel bill on that. That is, again, that's just my assumption based off of the information that I had saw out there. So again, that is going to negatively affect the spot market that's going out there. I just wanted to kind of put that little bit of a caveat in there. And then here's this is one food shipper said it was receiving more cold calls from freight brokers than those brokers having to seek capacity for shipments on their own. Fucking freight brokers cold calling every fucking market. It doesn't matter what it is. Let's be real.
Also, if you think about it too, in the last year, when you talk about the amount of people that have went into trucking entrepreneurship, we've got a lot more new freight brokers out there that are kind of getting out there and getting their feet wet. That's not an indication that people are desperate for freight. It's an indication that, hey, that side of the marketplace on the non-asset side, people are getting more interested into that and really trying to get into that market.
Yeah. And then a little bit further down, it said one key indicator on Sonar's outbound tender rejection index is at this time last year, truckers were rejecting a whopping 25.76% of loads they had previously arranged through contract, AKA the spot market was significantly higher. Therefore, I would reject my contracted rate to try and make more money on the spot market. That's all that is, which happens in every single market again. And that's what is going to happen this year when rebids are put out there. Like it's like that is going to happen. All right. Because the market will balance itself out. It will. It does all the time. Yeah. But sorry, Adam, go ahead. I know you want to say.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. It's going to balance itself out. You know, it's a pendulum that swings back and forth, and it's going to balance itself out. And I think that one of the big points that you made about was the rebid process is to ensure that the smaller carrier understands where they stand at within the rebid process as well. Yeah. A lot of times those RFPs, those are bidded out through larger carriers to provide larger capacity and things like that. Mm-hmm. We still do have the smaller guy that does get into these contracted lanes and get these contracted lane opportunities that do have to go through the rebid process. And I think it's really important for them to understand that a rebid doesn't necessarily mean doom and gloom either. It means that, hey, we're looking back. We want to kind of trim costs. Everybody's got to be smart in the cost cutting process. But that's why it's important to have that education of what that looks like. So having those multiple rebids is okay, you know, and that's not like something that scares me. You know what I'm saying?
No, absolutely, man. And that's the thing is that's what shippers are going to do. Shippers have to protect their bottom line.
Yeah.
You know, at the end of the day, and they're going to do that. The shippers own the freight. Like, let's call it what it is. You know, and then another thing is now that spot rates have declined, more drivers are moving their contracted loads, of course. So therefore, spot market tender rejection, it's not going to make it to the spot market because they're making more money on the contract. Again, it's just like the ebbs and the flows of this, you guys. It's not the sounding the alarm. Like, here's the thing. I would have an extremely different tune if freight volume levels as a whole were down below 2019, 2020 levels. If they were down, I would be singing a different tune.
That's not the case.
Exactly.
That's not the case.
It's not even close to that. Yeah, dude, again, all right, I'm gonna pull off this article because I'm gonna leave. Me and Adam are gonna leave. We're not gonna get to the third article today. We're gonna use the last 6-7 minutes just to drop some straight fucking truth here. Okay. To close that one out, that's from Freight Waves, Bank of America sounding the alarm on collapsing freight demand. Check it out right there. Again, I try my best to cite all my sources. But Adam, from a small carrier's perspective, because at the end of the day, this is who we need. Because harsh reality is, you guys, is these mega carriers who are publicly traded, reported, like, they're not going to work with you. All right. They're not going to work with you because in all reality, they're fucking set up with all of your customers already. So they have no need to work with you. Okay. So we source that 97% that are 20 trucks or less. Right now in this market, Adam, you got fuel it's high, obviously. So to put it in for a broker's perspective, that breaks down to about 65 cents a mile is what it costs to run a truck right now at 5.16, 5.17 a mile, a gallon, because you get 7-8 miles to the gallon.
No, you're going to get about 6.5 to 7.2 miles.
Okay.
It depends on what the freight is, but just give it an average 6.5.
Okay. So you take that into consideration. How many carriers that you talk to now? And again, you're out there talking to that's your jam, man. You, in my opinion, you are the voice of the 97%.
Yeah.
With them right now, are you advising them, because you're talking about those hot freight, those pockets of freight that there's profitable lanes? Are you advising them to switch into a more lane focused approach as opposed to chasing that dollar?
Yes, 100%. We're talking about focusing on a lane focus approach. We're also trying to teach carriers really how to set up their carrier packets, not the carrier packets that you fill out with a broker or shipper, but a carrier package that really is almost like a pitch deck to sell your business to a potential shipper or to a potential broker to facilitate that. I'm gonna give you a stat. So when you think about the entire scope, right? We talk about the 97%, but I want to make sure that every broker understands and everybody on this call understand what 97% looks like. There are 903,105 trucking companies that are under 10 trucks. There are 651,277 trucking companies under 20 trucks. So that's over 1.3, 1.4, 1.5 billion trucking companies. There are only 2,362 trucking companies that have over 100 trucks. So when you look at that and you look at the focus, I'm telling you, the meat and potatoes are in the small guy. But the thing that we want the small guy to realize is that in order for you to be successful, you have to operate with a big carrier mindset. I'm going to give you an example. When I look at Schneider, when I look at JB Hunt, when I look at Swift, you're not going to go down the highway and get passed by those trucks. Yep. And it's for a very, very important reason. They've most recently dialed their trucks up to about 62, 63 miles an hour, because over 70 miles an hour, you're burning 20% more tractor fuel. This is not the marketplace. This is not the time for you to run your truckers up and down the highway at 75 miles an hour trying to race with the truck beside you. You have to be smart about it. If you're a 1 truck, 2 truck, 10 truck operation, your fuel cost is the most important expense that you have. The difference between 7.2 and 6.5 miles per gallon can be $20,000 a year per truck on fuel alone. We have got to be better at that. And then also you have to be smarter on station selection, right? There's things that when you partner with a fuel card program and you're looking for a fuel card, be aggressive and find out the ones that give you the best discounts. If I got 10 trucks and I'm pumping out 40, 50,000 gallons of diesel fuel every single time that I get to a truck stop or every month, I'm going to talk to that person that's supplying that car. And hey, man, we need deeper discounts. What can we do to deepen those discounts, facilitate those relationships? The reason why the mega carriers get such cheap fuel at the pump, right, is because they pre-purchase it. You know, they pre-purchase their fuel, so they're able to get it at a significant discount. The smaller carrier doesn't have that opportunity, but there's power within the network. So as you grow and you facilitate that business, the most important thing is you lower your expenses. Everything from making sure that your tires are properly inflated. The lower that your tires are inflated, when they underinflated, they create drag. You create drag, you lower fuel economy. You got to be very, very smart on fuel economy. And I'm telling you, and I say this with the utmost sincerity. I hear and I feel for the carrier right now when it comes to diesel fuel pricing. I get it. However, I was operating in the same diesel fuel marketplace in 2008. We were spending the same thing at the pump, but we were getting paid $1 and $1.21 a mile. We made it work. We figured it out. It's going to be okay. All right. And I really want to just point blank period. It's going to be fine. The thing is that you just got to run your shit tight. That's it. You got to run it like it's a company and stop running it like a hustle. And that's the thing that I want to make sure people think.
Straight up. And exact same mindset to brokers out there right now. Remove the transactional mindset from all of this shit. Okay. Stop thinking again. I say this a lot. I'm a capitalist. I believe Adam's a capitalist. He likes making some money. I think we all enjoy making money, but what we need to do is focus now on the long term. Again, this isn't easy, but find those carriers, have in-depth conversations with them. I'm a proponent of load boards, but load boards are a crutch, you guys. They're not a necessity. That's not how we source our carriers. Our goal is to keep our carriers off the spot market, because therefore that capacity is for us. We need capacity to sell to our shippers. All right. We want those dedicated relationships. Take it a step further right now. All right. It is just taking it. Hey, have you ever delivered to this facility for me, out there? You haven't? Perfect. There's a truck stop in this location for you. Hell, they even have on-site parking if you want. How do we add value to these small trucking companies? Because these small trucking companies are the only ones who will fucking work with you guys. All right. These mega carriers that are out there, they have no need to work with you because they're set up with everybody. Okay. And it's not a knock on anybody in there. That is just the reality of the industry. They don't need to work with you. Okay. But the ones who we need hauling our freight are 20 trucks or less. Like Adam just said, 1.5 million trucking companies in our country are 20 truck or less operations. You need to source them out. And this is not easy, you guys. And I get it. It takes time to do this. It's easy to hit post and hope that a truck calls in. I get that. But if you want to sustain through any market shift, and when I talk about creating your own freight market, this is what I mean. Contracted prices, spot market prices that are out there in headlines right now are a sector of this industry. I don't know where they pull their data sources from. Something tells me it's not every single shipper in North America that is reporting to this. I mean, hell, Bank of America only talked to 44 of the motherfuckers. So let that be any indicator on what it is. But again, build up your network. All right. Build up your network of carriers. Niche market. This is what I'm all about. I talk about this all the time, you guys. Niche market. Adam is literally telling you right now, all of the clients that he has, every trucking company he talks about is being very lane specific. All right. This is the lanes that you run. Take that capacity and sell that to a shipper. Start small and build out from there. You're not going to get all their freight overnight anyways, you guys. That's another harsh reality to this. You're going to be starting on one lane and you build it out. That is how you create your own freight market. It takes time. I get it. It's easier just to post. But if you want to sustain through any freight market, any up and down, this is how you do it. It's a slow and steady approach. You can take it. It is that easy. It just takes time, man.
And as a carrier, all I want you to do is I want you to know your numbers, know your break-even point, know what it takes to operate your truck. It's not cookie cutter. You know, I can have 10 trucks with the same mileage on it, same crack in the windshield, and you'll have different dynamics on every single one of them. For every single truck, I run it like an independent business. Be very, very specific on your costs. Lower your costs as much as possible. Whenever it comes to lean times like this, you'll be able to sustain. It's just like with anything. It's like a budget. When your budget gets tight, you eat peanut butter and jelly and stop going to Roof Chris. That's all it is. It doesn't mean that the sky is going to fall on you. But the one thing I can tell you, the most important thing that people really, really don't take heed to is managing fuel costs and the things and the dynamics that go into it. And the thing that I love about what Chandler said was just the preventative maintenance is such a key too, because I'm going to leave you with this. It is so crazy when we do ELD reviews to see how many times these drivers out here are not doing pre-trip inspections on trucks with 600, 700, 800,000 miles. And then all of a sudden they pull in for a PM and they got to pull a laundry list of things that need to be repaired on it like that. And all of a sudden the owner's pulling his pockets out because he doesn't have anything left to it. You got to plan maintenance. It's just like when you get a car, 50,000 mile maintenance, you got 100,000 mile maintenance. It's the same way in the truck. Know your equipment, know what it takes to operate.
That's it. We're out of time for today, you guys. Shout out to my friends over at VHub. Check them out. Reach out to Adam on LinkedIn, on the social media. Follow Innovative Logistics Groups. They are just out there adding value to this industry. We'll be back tomorrow at 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 a.m. Central for another breakdown out there. I appreciate you guys all so much, and we'll be talking to you tomorrow.